Yu-Gi-Oh! Mint.com is now TradingCardMint.com. Please check out their selection of over 20,000 cards with prices cheaper than TCG Player.
Alright, let's talk about Team League Chicago and what actually happened for premium format. So, my team, I actually didn't get the chance to play. I actually ended up being sick Saturday morning, and oh my god, life is a ride, that's for sure. But Austin went ahead and played with our good friend Eddie and his friend, and their team got 10th place. His personal record was 6-1. He only dropped one game with Discard Turbo, and that's just because Spike Brothers hit him with a crit. So we're going to go through, we're going to talk about Discard Turbo in the current format and kind of what's going on. A very good friend of mine was asking me why this deck is actually good. And, well, it discards a lot of cards from your opponent's hand. Guys, please check out our friends at TradingCardMint.com down below in the description. If you enter MCOL40, you will get the chance to save some money on your order. And the beautiful playmat you see here is one from a line of playmats from our friends at Zero Damage Playmats. If you guys are familiar with them, you've seen them have a lot of mats. If you guys enter MCOL40, you'll get the chance to save money on your order as well. So, let's dig on into this. So, we play 4 copies of Kujigiri Kongo. So, literally, on ride, get your Protect marker. I believe if you have more, if your opponent has 4 more cards in their hand, literally just counterblast one, make your opponent discard one. And then when your opponent's rear guard is returned to his or her hand from a card ability, they cannot call cards with the same grade as the return card to their hand. But that's only really in the turn that you are riding him and swinging, because your objective is you want to go first, ride this, let your opponent stride, and then G-guard, do your turn with all the dominate stuff. But for essentially everything that this beautiful deck wants to do, it is definitely, it's a powerhouse in the current format, and it's all because just discarding cards from your opponent's hand for no real reason is just a very beautiful thing. Now, this guy is why this deck is good. This is the Crow. For Soul Blast 3, discard 2 Sentinels, return rear guards back to your opponent's hand, and then make your opponent discard 5 cards. Yeah, it is literally that good. It sucks that it doesn't have an imaginary gift and it's 11k. That is worrisome, but you know, it's fine for the most part. Like Vanguard, and then we play this guy as a one-of. This is just kind of, he's here because he gives the imaginary gift, and then he has the really weird when placed, your opponent can't intercept, and this guy will get 3k. So it's literally a 15k attacker on rear guard. You stop your opponent from intercepting for the turn. This is just mainly here for the rogue matchups. Like, honestly, like, it covers all the ground that it needs to cover. So, 9 grade 3s. Deck is so good. Now, grade 2s. We play 3 copies of our friend here. Literally just counterblast 1, soul blast 1, draw a card, get 6k, and that's Vanguard rear guard. At the end of the battle, let it attack, you get to put this guy in your soul and bounce one of your rear guards back to your hand. But this is going to be that essential little push that you're going to need. Get you an additional draw in the earlier stages of the game, which is actually really good for what this deck wants to do. Objectively, he replaces himself back into the soul as well, so you're not going to have to worry about objectively wasting your soul, quote unquote. So there is that. Now, we play 3 copies of the, what is this guy's name? Liquidation Asada. So, when this unit attacks Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Shiranui card name, you're going to get 2k. At the end of the battle, let your other rear guard attack to Vanguard. You may pay its cost if you do. Retire that unit that attacked, and, you know, draw a card, and, you know, that ability, or that unit will lose its auto abilities. But this is our friend for Dominate. You're going to go ahead and beautifully get more additional draw power out of the situation. Which, I mean, all this deck wants to do is turbo draw. I know a lot of people don't understand that. They're objectively like, why do you make some of the card choices you make? It's because you're trying to turbo. This is one of the best cards in the deck, and I've read a lot of comments, people like, why do you play Ungai? Setting, okay, so going into a turn with Dominate, letting your opponent hit defense triggers. Call this, set your opponent's Vanguard to 11k. Do you guys know how detrimental it is to set a Vanguard to 11k? That is the magic number threshold. And decks can't cross that, literally. And to top things off, you can set your cards to 11k. Like, you choose 2 of your units and make them 11k. So you can choose himself and a booster. 22k line on 11k. Seems really good. But for the turn that you're trying to pressure your opponent, you have so much value in this. And Austin was talking about wanting to take this to 4, actually, because he said this card was nuts. Then we play 2 copies of this. This is the one Austin's talking about dropping. But he said the main thing that was good with this, for the most part, was you give the 3k, you get the additional soul, and, I mean, yeah, you get to bounce this guy back to your hand, but, like, he's 8k, which doesn't do anything to promote what the deck objectively wants to do, which kind of sucks. But in the most part, you know, for what it's worth, like, maybe more Ungai might be the way to go. Play 2 copies of the Stride Fodder. There's nothing too real explanatory with this. I know there's, like, the eternal debate between 2 or 3, but I think 2 is absolutely fine for all intents and purposes for this deck, because for what you're doing, like, you do have to manage your resources, and if you go a little bit too turbo heavy, then you're just going to run into issues. So I do think the 2 Stride Fodders is appropriate for just your matchups in general. Like, it's too much of a rush otherwise. Now this card, Slappy the Frog, dominate unit attacks, put this in the soul, give it 6k, and then draw a card. Really, honestly, like, this is why this deck is good. It gives additional soul and other things like that for the Crow turn. Like, yeah. I'm just staring at the frog. I'm like, why are you so good? I'm like, oh yeah, because you increase my dominated units to make me push over thresholds. Now this card is the other reason why this is good. And a lot of people also were like, why do you play this card? So, when placed Vanguard, Rearguard, discard a card, draw a card. Okay? You can pay that cost, yeah, anytime. If your Vanguard is Kujigiri Kongo, you can Soul Blast one, choose one of your opponent will choose one of the Rearguards. Bounce it back to the hand, you get to make your opponent discard a card. We care about the discard draw in the early stages of the game because we get further into the deck. Now in your Gize matchup, life can be rough, but this can be your countercharge engine. For the cost of discard 1, you get to countercharge 1 and also draw a card if you only have 1 face up in your damage zone. This card is actually a lot better than I think people really want to give it credit for, and I do understand in today's situations, like 4 is so good. Our starter is the draw 1. No real change there. Our triggers, 3 crits. No reason to play more than that. And then we're on 8 draw. So we have 4 new draw. We play 4 copies of the Perfect Guard. And then we play 1 copy of Almsgiving to put it into the soul. And we also play a 2-2 split on the heal triggers for literally any situation that you might come across. Now, we have the Protect markers. They look so beautiful, like, actually. Alright, G-Zone. We do play 2 copies of Early Dominate in case we need it in the early situations. Honestly, he's literally one of the better ones. And then we also play Yield Starter Deck 1, just once again, earlier pressure, certain things like that. And then the Heat de Resistance, the reason why this deck is actually good. Dominate GB3, make your opponent call 2, swing. Everything's got plus 15k. I knew this was going to be a problem later in the deck's lifespan, but we did it. Yeah, that we did. We'll play 1 copy of Drachma because absurd win conditions on the back burner are really good. 1 copy of Sukuma Doran, just to pierce the opponent's hand in the situations that it kind of calls for it. Things happen. Dominate the opponent's Vanguard, clear their board. GB8 guy, because we have room for it. And in G Guardians, we play 1 Rack Tome, 1 copy of Dominate the Back Row, extra power, and then 2 copies of Super Extra Power for the matchups that we feel that we need a turbo. So, guys, that is all I have for this video. I think that was about as much explanation you're going to need on Discard Turbo. I literally just go for the Crow, bounce back their hand, make them discard 5, and then go do your dominate shenanigans. You did it. That's the whole deck in a nutshell. So like I said, check out our friends at TradingCardMint.com and Zero Damage Playmats down below in the description. Enter MCO40 on both websites and save a little bit of money on your order. Alright guys, I'm out. Peace.
That's not all, card fighters. Please subscribe for more Cardfight Vanguard content. Please remember to check out MCO40 for Yu-Gi-Oh videos, and please check out MCOGames.com, my store, along with No Limit Gaming, NLGTCG.com for all of your guys' trading card game needs as well. Until next time, guys, remember to hit that subscribe button. Later.